Last week, we talked about teens. So this week, let's talk about our littlest ones. Parents who have kids under 5 are under a lot of pressure to sign their kids up for preschool. And because they're usually new at this parenting thing, so many people want to offer their unsolicited advice, right? And they're often so dismissive. If a mom or a dad thinks their little one isn't ready for a classroom setting or doesn't see the value in it for learning at any age, really, they're met with all kinds of accusations like, none of us are ready to drop off our kids, but it's for the best. They'll love it, and you'll find something else to do. But the truth is, research does not support the idea that earlier schooling is better for kids. And in a lot of cases, it's detrimental. Unschooling is great for little kids. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. But before I dive into this, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Sue Patterson, your host here at the Unschooling Mom to Mom podcast. Each week, usually, I'm here to talk with you about all the benefits of unschooling. My own unschooled kids and their friends are grown now, some with kids of their own. So I've been looking at trends and information about childhood for a very long time. If you're interested in learning more about unschooling, start at my website, unschoolingmomtomom.com, and reach out if you'd like to get on my calendar to chat about any concerns you may have. And just so you know, we all start out with concerns. Time passes, we start to observe our children for even more years, and some of these questions do resolve themselves. Sometimes new questions come up. I love being able to share what I've seen happen with so many families that opted for this unconventional approach. A long time ago, I wrote an article for a magazine called The Mother Is Me. The article was, "Where have all the thinking parents gone?" I was referring to all the parents who saw the value of play-based learning when their kids were little, but then they shifted gears when kindergarten rolled around. Suddenly, they were all about getting their kids signed up at all the best schools, and they jumped onto that conveyor belt with everyone else. And this is happening at younger and younger ages. Now it's not just kindergarten, although that push is really strong. It's hard to find support. So as parents of preschoolers, you find yourself surrounded by families who are going to shift gears and suddenly send their little ones off to preschool. Most of the conversations among parents are all about getting them in the right program, or this is the feeder school for some other place that have waiting lists and parents are clamoring for. It's so competitive, and we just fall right into all of it. And those of us who aren't that competitive start freaking out a little. And I really believe it could be because we were primarily raised in schools where competition was the way they got us to conform, with class rankings and comparisons between kids and test scores to teachers who definitely gave the impression of, oh, you don't want to be left behind, do you? And we carry that with us. So if you're parenting and you're leaning towards unschooling, and you mention you're thinking of not jumping on the bandwagon, maybe even just skipping pre-K, concerned friends and families toss a lot of doubts and worries into the path. Like, won't they be behind when you do start them in school? Or what about all the missed opportunities? Or are you as the parent just being too clingy? And then, yikes, you start to wonder, is that what's going on? I can hear all the self-doubt. Often, parents of preschoolers are new parents filled with uncertainty and do worry that they're doing something wrong. We're all told to ignore our gut and conform like everyone else. So then marketing taps into all of this, and we're easily manipulated by that implication or by them saying it outright. You don't want your kid left behind, do you? Man, fear is in the driver's seat at that point. Not only fear that our kids could be left behind, but fear that we aren't doing a good job as moms or dads. It's a double whammy. So anytime you feel you're making decisions out of fear, slow down. No one is going to be left behind. Let's look at it all rationally and wrestle the microphone away from the marketing people. Because here's the truth. Research shows that early academics is not best for kids. Any advantages they saw initially all level out in a couple of years. All that push and pressure did no good at all. Kids who live with engaged adults have way better vocabulary and a more interesting life experiences than kids who are in a classroom setting day in and day out. Anxiety levels decrease when kids are able to move at their own pace instead of being herded from one activity to another so that the system can move smoothly. And the individuals just have to conform. And that parent-child bond can continue to strengthen when you're able to spend time together. Because it's not just the time they're away from you, it's the transition before and after, the drive there and back. If you've had kids in school or preschool, you know how quickly the day can get away from you. So over at the Unschooling Mom to Mom website, I have a list of 10 tips for unschooling little children. Practical tips for helping you with focusing more on playing with them and less about subjects. Guides to help you if you have a lot of people ganging up on you for your decisions. Even links to more articles and research supporting this idea of delaying academics. But I have 3 action steps for you. Number 1, I want you to go over there and look at the list of things to do. I'll add the transcript for this podcast above it so it's all on one page. Next, I want you to create a new habit. I want you to read a little every day from the list of articles and research supporting unschooling and not duplicating school. 1 article a day over coffee, or a podcast while you push them on the swing. Think of little places in your day where you can slip in more information to help you. You have a lot of years to offset, really. You've been conditioned to think of the school approach as the one right way, and it's not. It's not even the best way. So educating yourself on this now while the kids are little will help you so much as they get older. And then number 3, if you're feeling alone and wishing you could surround yourself with other parents who see the value in this unschooling approach, join the Creating Confidence membership group. Parents of preschoolers need support too. You're learning to trust your intuition and getting okay with moving away from the status quo. Joining the group will help you learn more about how unschooling works and gain the confidence you need to create the home life that's filled with learning and connection. You can bring questions to our group coaching calls and brainstorm with other families who are also opting for something that actually fits our kids and our families. So in wrapping up, the bottom line is that when we push up academics with our littlest ones, we're wasting their time. Time that would be better spent accumulating real life experiences filled with play, with trial and error, with imagination, all because we're sticking with what's familiar. And maybe we've even created some stories around that we need to dismantle. So even if you never become an unschooler, focusing on play-based experiences, connection with them, and fun is such a better use of the time for you and for them. So that's it from me. Take care. Enjoy your family and happy unschooling. I'll be back to talk with you again next week.